The truth? Most of us are performing, polished on the outside, but on the inside, quietly wondering, is this really what I signed up for? It works for a while until the facade starts to crack and "I'm fine" becomes too hard to fake. I look around and see so many women physicians rocking it, brilliant, accomplished, respected. But what we don't often see is their internal struggle. These women are also experts in never letting it show. If you've been wearing the mask, smiling, nodding, saying, "It's all good," this episode is for you. Because today we're not just talking about the problem, we're giving it a name. And when you name the truth, you start to loosen its grip. It's also true that comparison steals joy, and you deserve joy, the real kind. Find the full transcript and more resources for physician moms at inspiredmommds.com/57. You're listening to Inspired Mom MDs with host Cindy Van Prague, helping physician moms take back control and prioritize what matters most so they thrive in private practice and at home. Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me today. Y'all know the masks that physician moms wear, right? We know what it looks like. The crisp white coat, the composed smile, the carefully calibrated responses, like just enough to seem human, but not too fragile. Physician moms are masters of this. They show up polished and capable and composed, even when they're not, especially when they're not. There's a specific kind of pressure that comes with being both a doctor and a mother. It's this silent, unrelenting expectation to appear fine even when you're unraveling inside. I call it the mask. And the truth is, many of us wear it all the time. So this mask says, "I've got this," or "I'm good," or "you don't need to worry about me." And you say this even when your inbox is overflowing, your toddler is teething, your charting's behind, and you haven't eaten like a real hot meal in 2 days. We perform a version of ourselves that the world finds palatable because vulnerability in this world often feels so uncomfortable, like weakness, or like something that could cost us some credibility or worse, control. I remember when my kids were small, my husband was completely out of the country for work, and I was wrapping up an overnight call with not much sleep. I knew that the moment I walked in my front door, my nanny would say hi and just bolt, right? And I would be left with 2 wide awake, bubbly toddlers and the whole day of parenting ahead of me. And as I was leaving the hospital that morning, a colleague passed me in the hallway and said, "I don't know how you do it. You're amazing." So I smiled. I'm like, "Thanks, I'm just doing my best." But on the inside, I felt so discouraged and exhausted because it didn't feel amazing. It was a facade, right? I know this was meant to be a compliment from this person, but it felt like pressure to just look fine. It was like a reminder to keep my mask on. But because once people see that you have it together, it almost feels like there's this expectation that you have to stay that way. But there's a cost to staying that way, to wearing the mask, and I know that now. I was shoving down my own emotion to fit this ideal image of an anesthesiologist mom of 2 kids and a husband and a house, and I had it all together. And I truly did believe that I should be able to handle it all. So I didn't give myself permission to feel what I was actually experiencing, and that was physical and emotional exhaustion. And so I brushed off the exhaustion with just having, I just had a rough week or an unusually tough call that night. And I silenced my inner voice that I have, but I don't listen to it. But it was saying, something here just isn't right. Because looking around, everyone else had it together. So what I was feeling seemed unique to me. That is the steep cost of wearing a mask and how looks can be deceiving. This is what contributes to burnout and feeling alone in a sea of perfect people. But those aren't perfect people because they have a mask on, just like me. Today, I want to talk about what it means to take off the mask. Maybe not all at once, but enough to remember who you really are underneath. So if the mask is something we wear, what is underneath it? Usually it's this deep, private, rambling narrative, one that's been shaped over years and decades. And for so many high-achieving women, especially in medicine, that narrative may sound something like, well, if I'm struggling at this, it means I'm not good enough. I must be failing at it. They may be conditioned to believe that strength means stoicism. And this is true of so many cultures too, right? So it's not just women here. So to admit hardship when you're stoic is to invite judgment. And in medical training, it starts really early. You're taught to not complain. You're taught to push through. You be strong, and you do not be a burden on your colleagues and coworkers. And then life layers on more roles. I mean, you're a daughter, and you're a partner and a mother and a leader and a mentor. With every title comes more weight and often less room to fall apart or look like you don't have it together. And the result is that it's easy to internalize struggle as more of a personal failure, like something unique. Instead of processing the hard things, you just kind of shove them down and suppress them, because that's what resilience looks like, right? But we think we're the only ones feeling this way, but that could not be further from the truth. And here's the subtle but powerful shift you can make. Name the truth. This could be saying out loud, this is hard, or you know what, it's not okay, or I do need some help. This is not to invite pity on yourself, but it's finally telling the truth. And the truth brings clarity. And when I say something like this now, like, oh man, this is hard, it breaks down barriers with other people too. And so me being vulnerable lets them be vulnerable if they so choose. And now there is a sense of community and not isolation. And there's a sense that we're all human. And you know what? What we're feeling is normal. Now that, my friend, is the power of naming the truth. It interrupts the narrative of a sea of perfect people. It makes room for others to say, hey, me too. The beauty of naming the truth is to begin to also reframe what strength means, or to be strong. So strength is not about holding it all together. It's about knowing when to loosen the grip. Maintaining the appearance of having it together is it's like, when you hold onto the steering wheel, like white knuckling it your way through life, like through rush hour. It adds so much work through periods of life that are already tough, like, parenting and practicing medicine. And it just isn't sustainable to be white knuckling it. And more importantly, it's not noble. It's just exhausting. So reframing the idea of strength when you feel exhaustion and doubt and fear will make space for healing. So, okay, this sounds good, but how do you do this? Well, for example, when exhaustion is telling you, I'm failing because I can't keep up, you can reframe it by saying, well, to rest up is really the wise choice, and my body's just asking for care. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Or when doubt creeps in and says, I don't really know what I'm doing, you can reframe it by saying, well, maybe I don't know because this is something hard and there is going to be some uncertainty here. Or what about fear? And fear whispers a lot, right? It may whisper, if I let my foot off the gas, even just a little, the wheels are going to fall off the bus. I know it's not a literal bus, but maybe you can reframe with, well, loosening my grip isn't giving up. It's choosing to breathe. You don't have to carry all of it alone. You can text a friend, someone wise that you know, let someone else in, tell them the truth. You can take off the mask. So I covered a lot today, and I hope something resonates with you. Maybe you relate to wearing a mask, or maybe you've held it together and you have this facade for others while on the inside you felt like things were crumbling. Maybe you've written a similar narrative of always being the strong one that has it together. But here's what I hope you take with you. Struggling doesn't mean that you're failing, it means you're human. And naming the truth by saying it to yourself, this is hard, I need help, I'm not okay, any of those things, is not a weakness. It's where healing begins. You make space for healing. And strength isn't about white-knuckling your way through motherhood or medicine. It's about knowing when to loosen the grip. It's about reframing the most common and habit-driven thoughts that pop in our head. And it's about calling out the truth. Because being fine isn't the goal. Naming the truth is. So I hope it gave you a moment of relief today that you're not alone. Looks really are deceiving many times. You don't have to keep holding it all in. And you were never meant to. Don't forget to join me next week for another dose of support and inspiration. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of those who matter most. It's time to take control and thrive. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Mom MDs. Please share with other physician moms and leave a review if you found value from this podcast.